It's not easy being royalty, especially if you're a member of the House of Saud. With 15,000 relatives to share your wealth, you're bound to find one or two that abuse their privileges. Well, in the ruling family of Saudi Arabia, that's the norm. I guess being twice as wealthy as your entire country takes its toll on your modesty, better judgment, and common sense. Then again, I never owned $1.5 trillion. So let's take a look at how the Saudi royal family lives their luxurious and privileged lives. King Salman and his wives. An interesting fact is that if the 15,000 members of the Saudi royal family decided to create a different country, only for themselves, they would be the 14th wealthiest country in the world. I'll give you a second to assimilate that. The Al Saud house is richer than the entire country of Spain, the Netherlands, Mexico, and several other members of G20. The head of this magnificent family is King Salman bin Abdulaziz Al Saud, the ruler of Saudi Arabia. So naturally, he gets the lion's share of the pie, with a personal wealth of around $20 billion. He is one truly underdog story, as he was the 25th son of the late King Abdulaziz. If the royal tradition had been kept, Salman would have never ascended to the throne. However, he was a perfect candidate to become the head not only of the country, but also of the family. Salman was part of the so-called middle generation, which managed to communicate freely with both the older and the younger members of Saudi descent. Moreover, throughout his 38 years as provincial governor of the capital Riyadh, Salman showed great personal qualities as a mediator and diplomat. In 2011, he was appointed as Minister of Defense and second in line for the throne. After his brother, Crown Prince Nayef, passed away in 2012, Salman became the first in line for the Saudi throne. In 2015, when his half-brother King Abdullah died due to pneumonia, Salman finally sat on the throne. Even though his life was mostly all work and no play, King Salman knew how to live large. With an annual income of about $2 billion, the king surely has the funds to live one spectacular life. I wonder if he gets a 401k on top. Not that he's ever going to retire, but still, a bonus is a bonus. The king has 3 official marriages and 13 children. If that sounds a bit too much, compared to his father, Salman is practically a virgin. King Abdulaziz. King Abdulaziz was the founder of Saudi Arabia. Before him, the region was still governed by the family, but mostly under Ottoman rule. In 1932, he managed to unite the kingdoms of Hijaz and Najd into Saudi Arabia. While that definitely took him a while, Abdulaziz was, before all, a family man. But not just any family man. He took the role to the extreme. He had 22 wives and 46 children. While that might sound a bit over the top, 22 wives and 46 children is a bit below the average for a wealthy Arabian sheikh of his time. Moreover, he was responsible for more than his immediate family. The king had to provide for the entire Al Saud clan and make sure the family riches were divided based on a complicated scheme designed to encourage family members to produce more heirs. The Saudi royal family allowances. Getting a more significant piece of the $1.5 trillion is a good enough reason to strictly follow the Al Saud family code, in the hopes that you will get closer to where the money is. In practice, all members of the family get allowances. Basically, Abdulaziz's children get the lion's share, their grandsons a bit less, his nephews even lower amounts, and so on. The low-tier family members would receive around $800 to $1,000 monthly allowance, accommodating them with a relatively carefree life, but without access to the luxuries the top-tier family members have, with upwards of $250,000, which the king's immediate relatives get. The far-distant cousins are nothing but commoners. Naturally, this leads to huge internal conflicts and jealousy amidst the massive Al Saud family. Some keep to the strategy of producing more heirs. The larger the household, the larger piece of the pie they get. Others resort to far more exotic practices, like marrying their cousins. The things people do for some cash, and those people claim to be the moral pivot of the Muslim-dominated country of 35 million. The Game of Thrones-style romance, however, is not the worst transgression that the Al Saud family members do. Being on their high horse, they think they can go above and beyond by giving harsh sentences to their subjects, yet many family members lack basic morals. A good example is the family underground parties, which are well known for their abundance of alcohol. By underground, I don't mean they are below the ground level, but rather that they are absolutely against Saudi law. Your confusion at this point is well placed. True, Islam forbids the consumption of alcohol. Anyone caught may suffer severe consequences. Moreover, the entire country has prohibited the production, import, or selling of any alcoholic beverages. The Saudi royal family, however, follows an old but golden rule: do as I say, not as I do. Somehow this reminds me of televangelists here in the US. I wonder who copied whom. Usually these parties remain under the radar, but a notorious Halloween party thrown by a Saudi prince became public after Jeddah officials spilled the beans. The costume party had a lot of alcohol, not so modestly dressed women, and a lot of dancing. Naturally, as it was a royal party, the police kept quiet and did not disturb the festivities. Of course, if you try to do the same, you'll pay a hefty fine if you're lucky. If not, you'll face some jail time or even worse. The even worse part is far more common for disgraced family members than you would think. The punishment of Princess Michal. As you probably already caught the drift, if you are a loyal and obedient family member that does not stick too much out of the pack with bad behavior, you can get away with almost anything. Still, as Princess Michal knows far too well, if you step out of line, you are just one very narrow step from the edge. So, while other transgressions might fly under the radar, committing adultery against another family member is simply unforgivable. In 1977, Princess Michal learned this in a particularly harsh way after being forced to marry an affluent older man outside the family. When she got older, they separated, but the man refused to divorce her since he would lose the prestige of being part of the royal family. During that time, Michal fell in love with the Saudi ambassador to Lebanon. Many things may be forgiven, but cheating on your husband is not one of them. The 19-year-old princess was beheaded as a punishment. Her lover suffered the same fate as he was forced to watch Michal's demise first. The gruesome death sparked an outrage in the Saudi community, but the all-powerful Al Saud family managed to quiet down all critics. How they did it? Well, you might want to ask Mohammed bin Salman. He seems to be an expert in dealing with the press. Another young wayward Al Saud member, Prince Turki, suffered the same fate 45 years later after shooting another man in the desert. This was a clear message by then King Abdullah that no one is above the law. This stopped the third and fourth generations of Abdulaziz's heirs, who were literally going out of control. Royalties out of control. Before this, some members of the royal family were involved in pretty shady schemes. A common theme among them was forcing commoners from their homes and land and selling it to the government for a considerable profit. Nowhere near as arrogant, but still particularly self-entitled, were the actions of a princess who booked 41 rooms at the highly luxurious Shangri-La Hotel in Paris, only to run away without paying. The bill was in the millions, as she booked the accommodations not for a day or two, but for half a year. During her infamous stay, the highborn princess, who apparently has the class of a stepped-on Riyadh street rat, also tried to evade paying her $20 million bill in a prestigious boutique. Still, her transgressions were nothing compared to what Prince Al-Walid bin Talal had in mind. He ordered a $500 million plane. The private jet was one of the most expensive pieces of aviation genius, abundant in gold and precious stones as decoration. Once the royal family caught wind of what was going on, they forced the prince to sell the newly acquired jet before it was even finished. The disgraceful behavior forced King Abdullah to take action. First, he ceased the free cell phone service to all family members. Then, he cancelled all prepaid stays at fancy hotels and put a limit on free tickets for jet travel. Thanks to Abdullah's reform, princes and princesses can now take only 2 guests on board for free. What an outrage! No wonder most of the Al Saud extended family hated him. Still, after his death, the new King Salman doubled down on his brother's family policies and is even more strict with careless spending. MBS and his lavish lifestyle. Naturally, the Crown Prince is an exception to the rule. Mohammed bin Salman is well known for his extravagant lifestyle, especially after he was named to be Salman's successor. MBS managed to get the position thanks to his talents and governing skills. Moreover, he had far more international connections than the former Crown Prince, Mohammed bin Nayef. So, in 2017, in order to consolidate power to his branch of the family, Salman appointed his son, Mohammed, to be the next ruler and was given all the power in the country. While many see MBS as the force of change in the traditionalist Muslim country, others see him as more of the same. True, MBS has some pretty good initiatives, like cutting down the Saudi dependency on oil export, leading the country to the G20 club, and expanding on some women's rights and others. But the Crown Prince is still a bit spoiled in some people's eyes. His extravagant and lavish purchases certainly don't aim to disprove his critics. For example, recently, he bought an ultra-luxurious yacht. Apparently, he saw the Serene near the French Riviera and immediately offered to buy it. While the purchase price is unknown, the yacht's initial cost was about $500 million. So, to get the deal finalized just several hours after the first bid, you can imagine how much MBS paid. To put an emphasis on his royal assertion, the Crown Prince also bought an ultra-luxurious villa, appropriately named after the Sun King of France, Louis XV. The luxurious chateau cost the prince more than $300 million and to this day is one of the most expensive villas worldwide. What awaits the Saudi royal family under MBS's rule? We can only guess. Still, one thing is obvious. Being part of the Saudi royal family is definitely not easy. If you want to be among the spoiled heirs of Abdulaziz, you need to be as close to the crown as possible. With MBS in power, however, that won't be an easy task. What would you buy if you were a member of the Saudi ruling family? Let me know in the comments below. If you want to learn more about a day in the life of a crowned prince, check out this video. Thanks for watching. I'll see you next time.